Sanibonani babukeli, sijabule ngempela ukuba nani namuhla sinilethela phela intandokazi yohlelo leni Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. Uhlelo ke mbukeli uyazi lunilethela konke okuthinta wena njengomthengi la eNingizimu Afrika. Sinilethela amalungelo enu intokazi emhlophe yakajali. Isifikile ke mbukeli ithi nje welcome, hlala uzothola ulwazi njengoba sithi ke namhlanje mbukeli izinga leingane ezilahlekelwa impilo emigwaqweni zisendleleni yokuyothola imfundo ezikoleni ngenxa nje yezithuthi ezingekho ezingeni selikhatheze iziphathamandla. And as South Africa actually marks Transport Month, there are calls for efforts to actually curb scholar transport accidents. Yebo mbukeli, njoba ngisho ngithi isimo sezithuthi ezingaphephile phela ukushayela nokunganakekeli ukuthwala inani eleqile ezinye nje ezezinto ezisolwa phela ngokubangela izinga eliphezulu leingozi esezihambe nemiphefumulo eminingi yezingane zesikole. Iziphathamandla njengoba bengishilo babukeli nabazali kodwa bona ke basola osomabhizinisi laba balezithutho lezi zokungalandeli phela imithetho nokugcina futhi izithuthi zabo zikwisimo esifanele. Njengoba ke mbukeli sengishilo ukuthi sigubha inyanga yezothutho kulenyanga uOctober, ukuphepha kwezingane zesikole ezindleleni kubekwe emqoka. Ake sizwe naluphando.
Bakwesigidi esinamawaka angamashumi amathandathu 1.6 million abafundi beli abaxhomekeke kwizithuthi zosomashishini babucala ukuya ezikolweni mihlale. Apha sithetha ngabafundi abaphakathi kweminyaka esixhenxe ukuya kwishumi elinesibhozo. Nangona abazali benezizathu ngezizathu zokuxhomekeka koluhlobo lwezithuthi lwabantwana babo, kubaninzi babo into engafane ithi qatha ngokukhawuleza xa besenza eso sigqibo lukhuseleko lwabantwana kwanomgangatho wesithuthi eso. Kodwa ukuxhoma kwezinga lengozi lwezi zithuthi kutshanje sekuzise inkxalabo kwabasemagunyeni nabazali. Esona sikhalazo sesokuba uninzi lwababaqhubi bezi zithuthi abazigcini zisemgangathweni ofanelekileyo, bekwanqala amanani angaphaya kwafanelekileyo beleqa imali.
Into yokuqala akumelanga ba-overload abantwana. I-overload is very, very important because of mababa overloada la abantwana mabaqala batholi accident belimali abakwazi nokubambelela abantwana. Mina gogo kaThando mangifuna i-transport for uThando ukuya eSt Martins esikolweni, into engiyengayibheka kuqala ukuthi i-safety yomntwana, ukuthi umntwana usafe, and ngabheka nesimo se-transport ukuthi transport isesimeni esinjani. Ngiyaye ngize la emotweni ngizobheka ukuthi abantwana bahleli kahle na, ba abantwana abalingene imoto yakhe na.
Ingozi ezihlasimlisa umzimba sezidale ukuba abazali bahlolisise phambi kokuba baqabelise abantwana babo kwezi zithuthi.
Mina mangumzali ngifuna i-transport, into yokuqala ngifuna i-driver's license from the driver, then ngibuye futhi ngibheke ukuthi imoto yakhe ime esimeni esikahle, ngibheke ne-disc ibe ne-passenger liability, then into engizifuna lezi nokuthi ine-association.
uThabo Muloyi ngomnye wabosomashishini bezizithuthi eSoweto. Naye uyangqina ukuba kufanelekile ukuba ukhuseleko lwezizithuthi ibe yinto engundoqo, ingakumbi xa abazali bezihlawulela.
Abazali nini December abafuna ukusibhadala bayabuza ukuthi umntwana musakahambi nge-transport December, suke ikolo zivaliwe and ama-exam aphela ngoNovember, so why fanele ngibhadale December? Siyasho nathi ukuthi at least nanisibhadala sikhona ukuthi imoto sikhona ukuzisevisa, sikhona ukulungisa imoto whatever ifunekayo emotweni, ama-disc expire, sikhona ukurenew ama-disc, sifaka amathaya amasha, everything ibe right, so that January when ikolo zivula umntana wakhe abuya for another grade aphasile uyazi ukuthi uzohamba ngemoto esafe and esharp.
Okamuloyi uthi bengabaqhubi imibutho ebalawulayo kwanabasemagunyeni bavakalise umnqweno wentsebenziswano kolushishino.
So singacela ukuthi i-government noma ngathi angazama ukuthi at least siregulate siyaziwe, and then need to have an association ukuthi ube kule industry lena. If you don't have maybe this thing association, uzohlangana neyinkinga zokuthi uthola ukuthi uvelelwa yi-accident or una something enzakalayo on the road, and then who you gonna report that matter to.
Abengxowamali i-Road Accident Fund nabo bangenelele kwezinzame zokuthoba izinga lengozi ezibangwa lizinga lezokhuseleko lwezi-private scholar transports. Le ngxowamali imema abaqhubi kwiphulo le-workshops zayo zokubaxhobisa ngezakhono zokuqhuba nokuphepha ubungozi. Abanomdla wokuba inxalenye yezi workshops abahlawuli nemdaka. Ukuthatha inxaxheba kuthutho lwabantwana besikolo ayonto ivuleleke nakubani na ophenjelelwa inzuzo. Kukho imiqathango nemithetho eluqilima elawula intatho nxaxheba yabathuthi. Phakathi kwalo mithetho emiselweyo kulindeleke ukuba umqhubi abe neempephamvume ezifanelekileyo zokuqhuba, isertifiketi soncedo lokuqala, uvavanyo zithuthi, ukuqinisekisa ukuba semgangathweni kwazo. Konke oku koba zizinto ezihlolisiswayo kwiphulo lezokhuseleko ezindleleni, ingakumbi kule nyanga yezothutho. Phamachangana Dube, Yilungelo Lakho.
Sibonga kakhulu mbukeli ngalo mbiko sudidiyelwe eyakakhumalo intokazi. Manje ke mbukela samukela ivakashi zethu zanamhlanje ukusiza phela ukuthi basincedise nani lapho emakhaya ukuthi iziphi phela lemigomo nembandele kumele nilandele uma nina nifuna noma nisebenzisa ama-scholar transport. Let us welcome Lesiba Mpya ukhulumela u-MEC wezokuthutha la eGauteng. Sibe naye insizwa Thabo Maponya, yena ke ungusihlalo wenhlanganiso ebizwa iBokamoso Scholar Transport. Gentlemen, kwaze kwamnandi kuba nani namhlanje. Ngiyanamukela. Asiqale Thabo, kunjani? Siyaphila nsizwa. Awusitshele kancane ngeBokamoso ukuthi nenzani nina as i-association yabantu abathwala abantwana besesikole.
Okay. Bokamoso, it was formed 2018. And then 2019 we registered with the NPO. The purpose of Ukvula Association, because we saw beginning order in the area, and like the issues of transport, like knows about Abobaba, they are complaining about the pricing and our parents running away. So we open Bokamoso just to contain order in terms of that, so that we can represent our members in kulendlela samba kuyo.
All right, siyabonga kakhulu ke lapho Thabo, at least yazi ukuthi nihlanganile nabona ukuthi yazini ungcono kube nomthetho ukuze kahle amabhizinisi ahambe kahle nengane futhi iphephe esidini. Lesiba nsizwa siyakwamukela nge-Transport Month, nisiphatheleni kule nyanga as a transport department njengoba nje sikhuluma ngokuthi namhlanje sigcile ekuphepheni kweingane ezilapha kwi-scholar transport.
Sibonga kakhulu Sis Alicia, and sithanda ukubingelela ababukele emakhaya. Thina ke siwumnyango we transport eGauteng, represented and led by umama uGiliboni Dialetlabela. This month sine October Transport Month, and over and above yonke into, part of our focus is on road safety. And we have a segment in the OTM, as we refer to it, as we focus akakhulukazi ekuthutheni kwengane. We've got a program during the course of October, where we are going to also be in collaboration of the scholar transport stakeholders. We work with, and I think I will expand on this issue because offline we're having a discussion Thabo, particularly on the stakeholder called CATS. And that is the stakeholder that is recognized by government at a provincial level. But we know in 2008, when the process was formalized, we have regional structures. And that is why we do recognize the association. And I might add, even if Bokamoso, at the top of my head, I don't know it or it's not on the records, everyone has got the freedom of association as envisaged in the constitution of this country. So as abantu abathathe isinqumo sokuthi baziqoqe in the ease of their business.
Umthetho uyakubona lo.
Umthetho uyakubona lokho. Into i-government ikhala ngakho ke is to easily communicate with them, to easily coordinate them, to easily be able to be in consultation with them, because as government, not only do we regulate them, because all modes of transport, be it bus, taxis, they are regulated in terms of the National Land Transport Act, 5 of 2009, particularly Section 50 as well as Section 72 of that particular act, together with the National Road Traffic Act.
Okay.
So, ukuphula umthetho ke kula government singena khona ke.
All right. Yeah. Let's expand there. But Thabo, uyabona ukuthi sibona abazali lapha kwi-insert yethu. Saphinde sabona no driver, of which ngiyamcommenda because ukhuluma amaqiniso, like izinto ayikhulumile ukuthi abazali banokubaleka bangakhokhi or imali bangakhokhi imali egcwele babaleke ngoDisemba bathi ikole evaliwe. All sorts of excuses which actually leads o driver ukuthi bangabi nemali yokuyoservisa imoto. Abazali ngapha on the other hand, but also sizoyikhuluma yo driver. Abazali ngapha bathi i-overloading iyinkinga, imoto ekuthuthwa ngayo abantwana iyinkinga, ba-check-a ama-driver's license, ilokhuzana i-passenger liability, nama-association, lama-scholar transport ahamba nawo. So let's talk about that. Mobuka ama-concerns abazali avalid napho Thabo, and nina njenge-association edila directly nabantu abaphatha abantwana, of which means indila nabazali directly. Nithola kanjani umngcele lapho ukuthi nikwazi ukusebenzisana?
Okay, let me be honest with you. The challenge that we are having with, in terms of operation, is that this abazali babantwana, they are, on the other hand, now they are ignorant and stuff. They bring a motor. If the car comes cheap, they want to faka abantwana motor, and they don't even worry whether the driver's got a license, whether the car is roadworthy. They don't even ask.
The cheaper the better.
Yes,
for one. They
don't ask those things. That is the challenge we're having with parents. Hence, we are saying in terms of issues of being regulated and stuff, it's a very difficult issue to handle it if our government is not playing their part.
Enforcing,
well.
Yes.
Because now we need enforcement as well. They are not there. Like you see this thing as in our operation. You can't say as a parent, utatumdana una 19 years. 17 years. Those people are the same age. So in most cases, that's why I find that my issues of driver, they're the same age.
Yes. In relationships,
that is the challenges that you're having with these parents. With the abazali, they don't care as well. So now, when things happen, it comes back to us as a scholar. And in issues of accident and all this, accidents happen every day.
But mina Thabo ngizokhuluma no Lesiba ngaloko. I-owners yo driver. I mean, I'm sure niyabavetho driver and vetha ama vehicles aba driver ngawo. That is umsebenzi wenu. Imbangela ekumele niyenze ama stops and checks and balances ekumele niwenze. So aniba checking ukuthi laba una 19 years old. Lo muntu obviously cannot be driving ama peers wakhe usaphuza usenza izinto ezinjalo ezofaka ilokhuzana i-safety yabantwana elokhuzeni at risk.
We do that.
So abazali, they don't mind ukuthi umfana waka next door because akasebenzi kuthiwa uzohambisa ingane because une license or akanayo because they didn't even ask.
Yes, those are the challenges whereby Tina in Bokamoso, what we do is that sithatha database ama members nan. We want the motor, we keep those, but the motor is roadworthy and the driver's got licenses. Now, the challenge with this one, and all the driving is those who belong. They don't belong to organizations.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So hence we're facing such things. Those who don't belong to organizations, there can never be a ruling there. We can't actually say anything to them because some of them, they are bullied. Some of them, they are bullied, they challenge you and stuff, and when you try to engage with them, listen, Chief, join the organization so that you can be one, and do izinto ngendlela right, but we are being challenged whereby some bazokutshela ukuthi mina ngidlala ehostel ubaba ngubani, so that's a challenge we are having on the road.
But Lesiba, I mean, let's talk about that. Uyakhuluma la noButhabo about where he feels like there could be more rigor in terms of enforcement from inside the government in the department. Basic things like ensuring ukuthi maybe umuntu ozolokhuza ozothatha ingane is a certain age or whatnot. Let's go through the checks and balances, Nina. Any stipulatayo as prerequisites for anybody ukuthi qualify ukuthi abe lokhuzana scholar transportee.
The expectation is that any vehicle that transports passengers for a reward has got to be compliant fully in terms of its roadworthiness. That is the first thing.
Okay.
The expectation also is that when a child leaves the family house, goes into a transport, the transport person becomes a de facto parent at the time, a guardian. So the expectation is that my child must be in safe hands. Over and above, the provision of that transport must be safe, reliable. It must be affordable as well. And that is the expectation as government. And I say that because we are a government that listens to its stakeholders, we have listened to them when they said to us, through the stakeholder that we engage, the Gauteng Education Transport Services, that give us an opportunity. We are getting our cars fit and proper for the road. This is before the schools open. And we are saying that once this car is on the road, is non-compliant, we will impound it. That is part of law enforcement, over and above issuing of traffic offense tickets and so forth. Our aim is that we cannot afford further to have our children transported in vehicles that are not reliable, that will not, issue the desired service, which is safe.
But Lesiba, just hold that thought, because ngifuna ukuya ekhefini so that uzoqhubeka nalama pointers, because these are very important requirements. If nawe mbukeli ekhaya usebenza ngabantu be-scholar transport or ufuna ukungena kulo mkhakha, ngicela uhlale ulalelisise lapho umabonakude wakho shortly after this break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Yilungelo Lakho. As of course sigubha i-Transport Month, namhlanje ke sithe ake sinicacisele ukuthi uma wena mhlambe ufuna ungena emkhakhweni lo ukuthutha izingane ube iskola transport, imiphi imigomo ekumele uyiqaphele, nokuthi wena ke uma uwumzali unezingane ezisebenzisa le transport, iziphi izinto ekumele nawe uzazi ukuze wazi ukuthi ngeshwa mhlambe ingane iba ne-accident, ukhuluma nobani and who do you hold responsible? My guest today, Lesiba Mpya, the MEC spokesperson for roads and transport here in Gauteng, alongside Thabo Maponya we Bokamoso Scholar Association. Bazosicacisela ke mbukela ukuthi basicebisa ukuthi njengoba umthetho uthi usukhathazekile kakhulu ngengane ezilahleka engozini, ngoba phela lezi imoto lezi ngathi azugcini umthetho, bazozama ukuthi basisize ukuthi sisebenzisane la eMzansi Africa. Before siye ekhefini bengikhuluma noButlesiba esinika ama-laws and rules and regulations nama-prerequisites ukuthi umuntu umefuna ukujoyina ilokhuzana or abe ne-scholar transport, iziphi izinto ekumele azenze. But I want to quickly go to the lines before uqeda nsizwa. I want to go to uButvelaphi eMamelodi. Kade bambili ocingweni simuzwe ukuthi umbuzo wakhe uthini. Butvelaphi, sakwamukela nsizwa ohlelweni, ungasibuza umbuzo wakho namhlanje noma ube kumbona?
No, ngiyabonga sisi ku Yilungelo Lakho, igama lami uVelaphi Mabokhwane from Mamelodi, a member of Rebabotli. Taba e ke batlang go bolela ka yona ke rata go ema le ntate wa Bokamoso, because of as an association who has been registered with the department, we are following all the nitty-gritty steps that we must do. But on the other side, I just want to find out from the department to say, what kind of a help are they offering us as the transport scholar transport operators, because of it's a lot of unregistered people that are actually entering in our business. And because we are not law enforcement, it's nothing that we can do. Can they actually tell us what are they going to help us?
Okay, all right, Velaphi siyabonga kakhulu baba. Thank you so much for that question. So, but Lesiba, angazi if you want to first address umbuzo wakho baba bese sibuyela lapha yana kuma rules and regulations ukuthi umuntu mefuna ukuthi ahambise izingane esikoleni kumele enze njani ngomthetho.
Yeah, ake ngisho ukuthi uhulumende wawonke umuntu. Ngizwe baba athi uhulumende ubanceda kanjani ke abantu akuthi umalume njengoba sibazi ke emphakathini. Uhulumende kaGauteng in terms of scholar transport i-commitment yethu had been in twofold. Kuna scholar transport ekuthi is a tendered contract together with the Department of Education. Wonke umuntu who has an interest in scholar transport can participate in that particular process. Lena ke umalume uhulumende njengoba ngishilo ukuthi it is best that uma ufuna ukunceda abantu kumele ubazi ukuthi ubathola phi ngoba bangobani and so forth and so on.
Asibize private.
Yes, private. Ngiyajabula ke ukuthi babuyasho ukuthi bawumkhakha o registered with the department who are happy with that because it simply means that in our basket of lama association ikhona ubaba akhulume ngayo ngizwile ukuthi iqhelile kancane
uBokamoso irabotlwe association. Yes,
100%. Isithokozisa kakhulu ke ukuthi mhlambe they are under this umbrella body that government in ama communication lines with which is gets. Of course, as government would encourage lama association akhona to get registered under the umbrella body which government is able to engage. Ingakho bengisho ngithi bengikhuluma nobhuti la ngaphandle uyasho ke ukuthi okukhona ukuthi akhona ama association that are not registered with the umbrella body. I say this because the umbrella body is Gauteng Education Transport Services. Iyafana ke emateksini kune Santaco, kune National Taxi Alliance in Gauteng. So those are the umbrella bodies that we are encouraging because kubalekile ukuthi abantu bethu bahlangane ngoba uma bahlangene ugovernment uthola kuba galula ke to go and address the concerns of those service providers. Yeah. So we want to say that as government in terms of imithetho ekhona ukubuyela kulombuzo wangaphambilini kubalekile ukuthi umuntu uma ezothutha abantu noma babantwana abe nayo ke i-professional driving permit abe nayo ke liability insurance. The driver's license has got to be valid and ikho ke yizo izinto ukuthi siyasibeka ke thina
whether umalume noma umuntu lo oseneyimoto ofuna ukuhambisa izingane
under umthetho okuthiwa uNational Land Transport Act, all the modes of transport and the users. Yazi ngoDecember noma ngoApril manje kube nama carnages ukulahlekelwa kwabantu endleleni. And we said ukuthi the most recent carnages are affecting children. Okay, so we want to be able to actually monitor that process. And ngithi thina umnyango wezokuthutha nendlela that what we are able to do is to monitor. Kodwa ke our sister department is the one that does the law enforcement. In terms of enforcing, angeke sizwane ke nemoto not compliant ehambisa abantu ingenamathaya alungile kuba ne driver behavior because there's an element of driver behavior. People ba driver ngekho esimene sikahle badlulile ebhodleleni njengoba bahambisa abantu ingane zethu abantwana bezikolo abantu bahamba ngeimoto ukuthi they are not valid in terms of the Road Traffic Act. So we can't allow that, and we're going to step, stamp authority in terms of le moto ukuthi they are non-compliant.
All right. But Lesiba, he also mentioned something, and I think Thabo ngifuna agxile kuyona because he knows this from personal experience. Le issue yokuthi sekunabantu aba-unregistered manje abangena kumkhakha wenu bazonithathela umsebenzi. I think Thabo, let's address that after ngiya la kuma-lines. Nginayo Mandla all the way from Springs. Mandla, sekwamukela nsizwa ohlelweni, ungasibuza umbuzo namhlanje noma ubeka umbono wakho. Mandla? Mandla, are you still there? All right, it looks like Mandla ngathi uyasaba. He is shy ukuthi akhulume. Mandla khona lapho? All right, it looks like Mandla usabalekile for now. All right, very quick one. Thabo ngisesoya elokhuzeni ekhefini. How rampant is this behavior yokuthi abantu abangarejistile bafuna ukuthi bangene elokhuzeni emkhakheni wenu wamabhizinisi banithathele transport, which leads to udlame kubangwa ama-routes kubangwa iy'ngane kubangwa izinto ey'ningi. Igxize kangakanani leyo nto baba, usichazele nje.
Look, kula issue la, I believe ukuthi scholar transport it's the easiest
form of a business.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the easiest one with everyone ophorekile or umuntu afeel ukuthi no namhlanje ngisasebenzi ngathatha imoto ngihambe ngiyolayisha abantwana nani. Now, the biggest issue is that we want to challenge the issue with the government that now, how are they going to protect us as registered organizations?
Yeah,
how are they going to protect us in that? Because now we cannot be bullied by people who are not registered. And remember, with us as scholars, we know that's violent as singamba silwa senzani. We remember some sabantwana.
Nina, you're doing a service to the public, yes.
We want the law enforcement, we want the government to take part, and for people to understand that before you have to belong. This is one thing we know. A motor that operates, it has to have an emblem. Each and every vehicle that operates a Shabantu, it has to show good motor is seven Gwenzani. So Nati, we would request Nati, so maybe sometime, maybe in the near future or Magwenzagan, because we are inviting them. And then Jobu Baba Kuluma Nango Mam Kidiwon, we spoke to her when I said to Uncle Tom's, when they were having that Lukunjani, we hijacked the show and then we went there. And then Sakulmana, even today, we are still waiting for the response with the CBs. Because now, as Tina Bokamoso, we belong under a region which is GJLTO. So now, in that organization, we've got 27 organizations in that. So now we are covered. Now, in each and every vehicle that operates on a road, it has to have two stickers. We have the one for the region and the one association.
Yeah.
So now, it is easy for a human being to understand with motor even though drive went into the wrong, it's easy to report that. So, but now, what interesting is we not like abanye abantu bakwazi because typical example, you can't go at taxi without joining them because you know what's going to happen. But this one is the easiest because it's targeted. So anyone can just bully us and the way they feel. So now the only thing is just protect because we are registered.
No, I agree with him. Look, part of the mandate of government is to protect black business.
Yes.
And
registered law-abiding businesses.
Absolutely. And Scholar Transport, in its own DNA, was a concept. We were carried by Scholar Transport to go to school. Some of us. All right. So it would be remiss of all of us to say we are not going to give protection to Scholar Transport, but we give protection to law-abiding operators. You have got to abide with the National Land Transport Act, read together with the National Road Transport Act. In terms of the prerequisite of associating, you have got to meet the test of time because. And that is why we are making a commitment to say pirate operators, we are going to come for them as law enforcement because that's part of our commitment to the service. That is why we are encouraging them to actually be compliant. Because when we are on the road... Can
they report them?
They have got to. Absolutely. Absolutely. The MEC and the department have got an open door policy. They can report them to the department. We've got regional offices. That is why we are forever accessible as a department.
But Lesiba, just hold that thought. I want to go quickly to the lines before Ngiyekefin. Asphalt in Middleburg, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Please go ahead with your question or comment. Ungakhuluma Nsizwa, ungasho nje ungabeka nangesingisi nangomageba nangesindebele. Go ahead.
Okay. Engifuna ukuadd okuningi uButhabo ngathi igamuso ukubekile ama problems. Mina into engifuna ukuyibeka ukuthi ugovernment akasupport vele kule scholar transport because I think 2014 sinayi association vele abantwana. Okay, ninayi izimoto ezireya abantwana. Okay, inkinga enkulu la eMpumalanga, inkinga esinayo thina ukuthi si-organize party i-government self basinika ubunye bathi ama-temporary license basibiza ebhodini ngayahlala ebhodini ukuthi ngithola amaphepha afanele kwaphela konke lokho masiqeda ukwenza lokho bathi sithola ama-permit ama-operating since applying I'm sure guys 5 manje futhi bathi ne-apply le failed scholar transport vele ibalulekile into ukuthi abantwana fanele bavikele nathi si-drive abantwana sinabantwana sibalayishako bethu begazi abantwana uma balayisha ebakho bonke uma usebenzisa scholar transport so ukusebenzisa imoto njengobhuti uyasho ukuthi imoto ezingacomply lo mkhakha umoshwa into eyi-1 ukuthi noma ubani uyangena sekunale tendency yokuthi abantu bazithathele umthetho mawuthi uyakhuluma uthenjiswa ukubulawa uthenjiswa izinto yathusezela noma umuntu uthola ugcwalisa abantwana uhamba ngepholo ayikho into mawuthi uyakhuza ukuthi wakabani wena akekho kumkhakha wenu ku-association uyazenzela nje.
Okay, but Asphalt siyabonga kakhulu baba ngalo input yakho this afternoon. Sicela ubuku TV yakho lapho umabona kude uzoza ukuthi bathini la e-studio. Bukeli, let's take another quick ad break. We'll be back shortly after that. My lines are wide open. 011-714-0671, alternatively 714-0672, 0608-449-857 is our WhatsApp line, or ungasithumela email consumer@sabc.co.za. Alternatively, find us on our social media platforms. My guest today, Lesiba Mpya, the MEC spokesperson for roads and transport here in Gauteng, alongside Thabo Maponya from the Bokamoso Scholar Transport Association. As of course, sikhuluma ngokuthi uOctober sugubha njengenyanga ekuthiwa la i-transport month la eMzansi njengoba siphuma ku-heritage month sesiku-transport month ke manje sesiyanicacisa ukuthi iziphi izinto ekumele nizazi nina-ke eninabantwana abasebenzisa iskola transport nani eninamabhizinisi asebenza ngabantwana besikole ukubayisa esikoleni. All right, so niyamuzwa uAsphalt laphayana but Lesiba uyakhala kakhulu ukhala ngento ekhala uButhabo uthi they feel like there is no support from government because the mere fact ukuthi bayi association bahlangene bayibonisa ukuthi they are law abiding business owners, so bacela extra help from government. What can you say to him as well as abanye who are going through this thing? Uyasho ukuthi eMpumalanga kuyasho ukuthi kuzabantu noma from wherever abababhulishe ukuthi bababone sebethatha ingane sebetransporta. There is no regulation in this sector, so kuzokwenziwa njani lapho Lesiba?
Look, I think that let's split it into fold, because whenever people speak about support, I'm sure they are looking for financial support.
Various things, yeah.
But there is legislative support in terms of what government gives to the department. And that is why we are able to sit here and say, we recognize you. Firstly, through the Constitution, but through imithetho esinbekele yona. For instance, you would know as an operator that the law gives you a prescript in terms of loading capacity.
Yes.
And this is because we're cushioning them. Abantwana, for instance, this law says that children between the age of 3 and 6 are able to be, 2 of them are able to be counted as one adult.
Yes, in one seat,
One
basically.
seat. So that is the part of the legislative support that we're giving to the industry so that they can be able to also optimize on the revenue that they collect from children. Issue here comes when they start abusing that section of the legislation and overloads above its prescription. Okay, so that's why I'm saying that as government, we have demonstrated that legislatively we do support this. But we have said that we come a long way as a country. For instance, the taxi industry manje is not yet subsidized, unlike the bus operators who we are subsidizing the commuter.
But Lesiba, you're starting a topic controversial for another day. But let's just go back to Maponya Asful Lapaya. Uti, in him supporting Uguti government doesn't support them. Uti, there was a program. He's talking about Mpumalanga, where they were given temporary licenses. So that program. He sat on the board in hopes of getting an operating license. Uzewa Puma, because that did not happen. He still does not have an operating license. It's been told multiple times to go and apply. Yet there are people who are not even part of any association operating without these prerequisites. So uthi bafuna uncedo la ukuthi kuza kanjani ukuthi abantu abangenazo izinto that you require as into yongena emkhakhweni wokuthi baphathe ingane babhizi ba operator bona abeze ngokuthi we presenting ourselves on goodwill. Ukuthi nisibone ukuthi sila serious ngalento sithatha serious imithetho yecountry sicela nisinikeze imfanelo, but that is not happening. So how are you going to bolster legislation and ensuring ukuthi bonke abantu baya verifywa abantu abanefisa ukuthi basebenze ngeScholar Transport?
So maybe let me speak on behalf of Gauteng in terms of what we are doing or issue out our operating licenses. We do acknowledge that there has been a backlog that has been disadvantaging operators in the taxi industry as well as in the scholar transport. We do acknowledge the fact that there has been a backlog. We are addressing that. The MEC is actually overhauling what is called the regulatory entity of Gauteng. But of course, when we are issuing an operating license, Alicia, it's done through an application. And if application is still because Tina would say, okay, give us the following. So that because we must adjudicate you, whether we decline you or approve you, it will have to be what you submit to us. And part of many of the submissions that are not done is on the liability insurance, unfortunately.
The liability insurance because I doubt a lot of people understand if you have to have a passenger liability insurance long distance.
Yeah, well, it differs also from brokers to underwriters, but all we know is that issuance of the liability insurance ifanele ibe within the prescripts of that law, so that uma kuba nengozi at some point of children who are overloaded, there is going to be consequences in terms of the underwriters, in terms of those insurance companies. But the prerequisite of operating and getting a remuneration or imali from that service is that you have got to tick the boxes. Part of Lama box or Atikai is liability insurance.
All right, yo mbukeli kumele ngempela ubuze umzali ukuthi lo muntu ozokuthathela abantwana bayisababuyise esikoleni unayo yini that passenger liability insurance. Yabo emva kwaleli khefu ngayindawo. siyabukela indaba ethi sashisa njengoba phela sithi uOctober is Transport Month la eMzansi. Ungashayela ke la ingcingo e-studio 0117140671 alternatively 7140672 0608449857. Usithinte ku Facebook na ku Twitter sikhona futhi na ku SABC Plus app as well as consumer@sabc.co.za. My guest today, Lesiba Mpya, the MEC spokesperson for roads and transport here in Gauteng, with Ubaba Thabo Maponya from the Bokamoso Scholar Transport Association. Sikhuluma ke ngokuphepha kweingane kanye nalabo abenza umsebenzi wokuthi bahambise ingane esikoleni. Let's go back to the lines. Siye kuThabo all the way in Gauteng. Thabo, sakamukela insizwa ohlelweni umbuzo noma umbono namhlanje.
Sanibona.
Yebo baba, kunjani?
Siyaphila. Ngasho ukuthi umbono nemibuzo. I-problem ekhona ku-scholar transport eMpumalanga, specifically from KwaMhlanga to Siyabuswa. I-taxi industry has a threat yama-7-seater, of which, yes, we know that there's illegal operators that are taking place in those areas, of which the government does assist ama-taxi to eliminate those what we call illegal operators. But now the issue is when one organized people ukuthi bazothutha abantwana, the taxi industry itself iqala uku-attack, of which they are trying to protect their business. It's only fair. But now when you go and agree with the taxi what we call association in the area, now who government delays to give those people permits to operate. And it's system corner, we don't know whether there's a backlog or they are doing it intentionally or there's a problem. So we are asking the government to assist, to speed up to get those permits, because when an inspectorate officer stops you, obviously he must execute. If I'll comply, obviously if you don't have a permit, that means you don't comply. And then umntana kabani fana gibele emotweni engacomply. Two, kune risk where you will find izimoto, especially ama-7-seater. I'm not going to protect ama-7-seater because I'm using a 7-seater. But I'm saying, together as a community, let's make sure ukuthi abantwana bethu bagibele imoto efanele. That car must be identified with a sticker, with a registration. Because kune style esikhona these days where people, they just remove their registration plate. Intentionally so. So we are asking the government to please be transparent with us. Just be transparent with us. Tell us the process. We follow that process. If there's a problem with the taxi industry, with the taxi association in the area, let us speak to those guys, because obviously you can't just penetrate somebody's business without ukulumanai. Now you come into terms with that association. Now the inspectorate becomes a problem. So we don't understand who is who.
Okay,
and the 7-seater can tell you today, everywhere in Mpumalanga, the 7-seater, they regard it as a problem transport.
Okay, Thabo. Sabonga kakhulu baba. Thank you so much for your input there. I like temperament yakhe yazi uButhabo Lesiba. He sounds like Buthabo. He sounds like umuntu who's owaziyo umsebenzi and who's gone through the paces zokuthi enze sure ukuthi ulandela i-compliance. Lesiba, I'm sorry to put you on the spot again, but it seems like we keep going back to Mpumalanga on this very same issue yama-lokhuzana, yama-backlogs, ama-permits. I know ukuthi we addressile earlier on ukuthi you've had a bit of ama-lokhuzana, ama-backlogs, ama-delays in terms of issuing them. So ngicela uphinde futhi ugcizelele lapha kuButhabo.
Okay. Mhlambe bengishilo ukuthi mina ngirepresenta iGauteng.
Yeah.
I might not be privy in terms of what is happening in
Kodwa phela sibalahli ilungelo lifika yonke indawo Lesiba.
Asikwazi ukubalahla kodwa
uzohambisa ama complaint wena eMpumalanga nase national.
Absolutely. Ngiyazi ke ukuthi uMinister Barbara Creecy in her first days in office, particularly in the 100 days, into enkulu ayigcizelele kakhulu is the speeding up of the approvals of operating licenses. Ingakho-ke provinces are following suit. They are making sure that provincial regulatory entities, which is referred to as PRI, very sensitive space la issue khona ama operating licenses. I know that in Gauteng, it's part of the MEC's key priority programs.
Okay.
So even October Transport Month.
All right.
Part of what the taxi industry and other stakeholders are raising is to speed up on this issuance of operating license.
Very quickly, but Thabo, I mean, are these some of the issues nanin begini nazo la Gauteng? Maybe ama issues ongawa highlights Lesiba while he's here, because at least when ula Gauteng.
Yeah, like the issues we've been having, like Sigesa Zamanati, and then we were told that our government kulma in one word. So the challenge is that there was an organization that registered before us, none. So we've been fighting for that as well. With NAT, we want to be registered, because now, if you look at it, Ubabo Ibegil and I want to go to Santa, we go to Utah land. So why is it on Scholar? See, there is a recognized organization, which is we don't belong there. We've got our own home, so we want to register our own house. So that's the biggest challenge that we are having right now.
Okay, so nifuna nina an independent entity ezobhekana nani, so that there is not that cross-pollination your taxi driver abanehlisela iingane zesikole as you drive them to school. Okay, hold that thought. I'm going to take our final ad break in Bugeli. Let's take it now. We're going to be back shortly after this. It's our final segment, as of course se commemorate October, which is Transport Month la eMzansi Africa. Gisahleli nazo insizwa Lesiba Mpya, the MEC spokesperson here in Gauteng for roads and transport, no Thabo Maponya we Bokamoso Scholar Transport Association. Thabo, ubukhuluma ngokuthi iziphi izinto enicela ukuthi ugovernment anisize ngazo, and I think also maybe as you appeal to him umcela ukuthi nina njengabantu aba-operator lezinto beniney'nkinga about i-conduct ama-parents ezocomplaina ngokuthi o-driver balate bazisa iy'ngane esikoleni late, you don't have proper avenues ukuthi ikhanjiswe lawo ma-grievances baba.
Yeah, true. It's true what you're saying, because we are a disadvantaged organization as a scholar. It's a disadvantaged one whereby akekho umuntu ofuna onesikhathi sethu lapha government. So it is a huge challenge whereby, if I could take it back, during the COVID time, we were disadvantaged to a level that we were stopped to operate.
Okay, all right, but
for certain months.
All right. So siyaqeda ke lapho nsizwa ngifuna Lesiba arephe naye khona ngizovalekilisa. You said there's free workshops.
Yes.
Banganithola banfonele banithola kanjani nsizwa very quickly?
They can just go on the government Department of Roads and Transport and Gauteng website. All our information is there. What I want to say this last word, it will take longer for government to respond to you when you are not united. And I think it is important, because part of the mandate of government is to democratize them so that they are greatly represented.
Give them a regulatory body, Lesiba.
Of course we do. We do have that. And that is why we are saying they have got to come together so that we are able to identify them easily.
All right, but Thabo, and unfortunately, I would have loved Lesiba. Thank you so much to both of you for your time. Lesiba Mpya, the MEC spokesperson, roads and transport here in Gauteng, and Thabo Maponya, the Bokamoso Scholar Transport Association, giving us pointers and tips. If usebenza ngengane eziya esikoleni ngetransport nawe umingane zakho elandwa ngabantu ukuthi bayise esikoleni bayibuyisele ekhaya, kumele uqaphele lezi zinto uphinde futhi ulandele imithetho. From wakajala umntana, imthanda nonke emakhaya, nisale kahle.